Hello, my name is Peter DeSalvo, and this is my QuickTime movie about smallpox. Today I'll be talking to you a little bit about the devastating disease smallpox, a highly contagious infectious disease that is responsible for killing millions of people all over the world throughout history. This political cartoon, published in 1808, shows how huge of a concern the disease really was. But how does a disease that starts off as such a small microorganism lead to such devastation? Smallpox, the disease, is classified by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as being a rapidly moving infectious disease with no known treatment other than vaccination. There are two different strains of the disease, both characterized by raised bumps and pustules on the face and body. Variola major, which was the more common, deadly, and contagious form of smallpox, had a mortality rate of 30%. The less common form, variola minor, was much less contagious and only responsible for about 1% of death caused by the disease. In order for smallpox to infect a person, prolonged face-to-face contact within about 6 feet was usually a must. However, the disease was transmittable simply by coming in contact with an infected person's bodily fluids or personal items. There is little evidence to show that it can be an airborne traveler over great distances. Once a person is infected, the disease will usually latch on to blood vessels within the mouth and throat. The incubation period for smallpox is usually 12 days before the infected person becomes symptomatic. Once transmitted, the infection moves rapidly throughout the body, attaching itself to lymph nodes and eventually heading to the bloodstream, where it multiplies itself into large numbers. Symptoms for the disease are not exclusive to the raised rash and bumps usually associated with it. It can also manifest itself much the same way as the flu, with a fever, body aches, and vomiting. Even though the infection is taking place internally, smallpox shows most of its symptoms on the skin. By the second day of symptoms, what started as a red rash become lesions and areas of raised skin with no fluid inside called papules. By day 6, smallpox papules become what are called macules. These are the fluid-filled areas of skin that may seem like pus-filled bumps but are actually pockets of destroyed tissue cells. Smallpox can take one of 4 different forms once in the body. In ordinary smallpox, the lesions and macules become large, elevated pustules that are firm to the touch due to how deeply into the person's skin they have embedded themselves. Eventually, after about 2 weeks of symptoms, the pustules begin to dry up and deflate. The areas of the body where the smallpox was may have visible scars or discoloration. Modified smallpox is a much less serious version and considered much more superficial, leading to a high survival rate, and is also commonly confused with chickenpox. Being most common in children during the smallpox epidemics, malignant smallpox is visibly quite different from ordinary smallpox. Instead of the rigid, fluid-filled pustules on the body, malignant smallpox takes on a more flush, soft, and smoother rash with little fluid, and is often accompanied by a severe blood infection as well as long-lasting, dangerously high fever. Finally, hemorrhagic smallpox, also known as black pox, is an acute case of smallpox, often leading to bleeding into the skin, digestive system, and mucous membranes. Black pox gets its name due to the fact that this form does not take on the visible pustules so common to smallpox. Instead, the bleeding that occurs under the skin gives the body a burnt or black appearance. Smallpox now is a distant memory. The last recorded case of smallpox occurred naturally in Somalia in 1977. Since then, a worldwide initiative to vaccinate has pushed the once devastating population killer into extinction. However, in its heyday, smallpox was one of the greatest disasters to ever happen to mankind. Its ability to infest entire populations and cities while killing men, women, and children indiscriminately has not been seen to that magnitude since. My references are as follows.